But I first tell you about the headstone you being dropped. Happy Easter. I know this is the time of the resurrection, and sometimes that message is relevant, and then sometimes it's not. And because all of you know about the resurrection, we need to know something other, something more. So today, if I would entitle what I wanted to share with you, I would call it Change, Change, Change. Because change is on us. We could say change is coming, but change is not coming. That means it hasn't got here yet. Change is upon us now. Every man or woman that has had a real, honest, meeting with the Lord, it has changed them. How can we meet Jesus and not change? I don't know how people can say, oh, I know the Lord, but they live like he's way off somewhere. Change is upon us. And we're going to have to be ready for change. And I'm going to give you some scriptures. And I thought, basically, 2 Corinthians 3:18 and Romans 8:29 tells us that we're going to be changed into His glory. But sometimes we use these scriptures, but they're not quite telling us the full picture. It's almost, some scriptures that we quote, they're almost like the milk of the Word. And the milk of that Word is that, yes, He is changing us. From glory to glory, He's changing us into the image of His dear Son. But that's not the change that I want you to consider. I want you to consider the change that He's making in you right now, today. You're not here by accident. You're here by divine appointment to hear that God is changing things for you. He's rearranging things. I think He's come to our house and He's decided to rearrange the furniture. Spiritually speaking. And there's some of that furniture that we have in this temple of ours that He's going to throw out because it's not necessary. It's not expedient. It's not a good witness for us that say, I have met the Lord. When Saul met the Lord, there was an instant immediate change came on him. And he was never the same. I had a preacher tell me the only, and this was on Friday, I was talking to him on the phone, and he says, you know, the only thing constant in our life is change. And I thought, have you been reading my mind? Have you been reading my notes of my sermon that I'm going to preach on Sunday about change? And I thought, no, the Lord is just confirming His Word, because change is the only constant thing in our life. We had better be changing all the time. If you settle down on your blessed assurance pew and decide there's no more change that's coming, you're in trouble. Because change it, but we don't like change. We just don't like it. Don't change this. Don't change your program. Don't change the way I do things. Don't change my lifestyle. Don't change my job. Don't change anything. Well, some guys are probably saying, yeah, I can change my life. No, because it wouldn't do any good. Those are not the changes that we need to consider. We need to consider the change that He's making right now that's going to separate us from some of the things that we hold very dear. There are some things that we're like, don't touch that, don't go there, don't preach about that, don't, you know, that's my, don't get in my private space. And in order for the Lord to do anything, He has to get into our private space. And I tell you, but He knows all about you. He knows every thought, every intent. He knows every scar, every wart, every bruise. He knows the number of hair that's on your head. He knows what you're thinking before you even think it. In fact, if I could be so blunt to say this, we stand naked before the Lord. You know, and we try to hide all our imperfections, you know, by the stuff we put on our clothes and our earrings and our whatever. And that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. But God sees what you really are. And I tell you what you really are needs to be changed. You need to submit yourself under the mighty hand of God, so that He has said, in due time, I will exalt you. If we wait on Him, in due time, He will exalt you over your enemies. And I tell you what, your enemies just aren't the bad guys out there. Some of our enemies are pretty close to us.
That's right.
And sometimes we go to church and sit with some of our enemies. We think, oh my. But God is bringing us now into a time of change, and it is now, and there's going to be a dynamic shift in the way that we follow, worship, serve, praise, share, testify. Okay.